Hello everyone, today we are going to talk on the topic peripheral circulation. It includes blood pressure, capillary pressure and their regulation. Let's begin with peripheral circulation. Peripheral circulation, a part of circulation, is described as a blood flow to the arms, hands, legs, feet and the upper layer of the skin. It produces pulses which are usually felt on the uppermost skin. This means the circulation occurs in the uppermost parts of the skin. Thus, peripheral circulation refers to blood flow to the dermis and extremities. Peripheral circulation produces peripheral pulses, which serve as a confirmation, particularly to healthcare providers, that the extremities of the body and the dermis are receiving oxygenated blood and all of the nutrients they need. For example, presence of a radial pulse or pulse felt at the wrist confirms that there is a blood flow in the hands. It is possible to have normal central pulses and one or more weak peripheral pulses. If there is an unhealthy condition that also affects a person's peripheral circulation. There are even situations in which central circulation is normal, at the same time that peripheral circulation to an extremity or to part of the skin is totally absent. These fluctuations in peripheral circulation causes anomalies like cardiac problems, diabetes and other complications. Our body consists of many interacting systems like circulatory system, digestive system, immune system, musculatory system, nerve system, reproductive system, respiratory system, skeletal system, etc. Each system contributes for the maintenance of homeostasis in the body. Blood pressure has a monumental importance in body homeostasis. So let's know what is blood pressure. The heart contracts and pumps the blood through the circulatory system, which carries blood to every part of our body. The force by the blood which is pushing against the walls of the arteries called as blood pressure. If this pressure increases and stays high over time, it can damage the body in many ways. Hence, along with temperature and respiratory rate of the body, the blood pressure is also one of the main vital signs routinely monitored by healthcare provider or our family doctor during routine body checkup. Now we will see how the blood pressure is measured. The instrument used to measure a blood pressure is called as sphygmomanometer. They are capable of measuring the actual effectiveness of circulatory system that pumps blood to various body parts. This instrument uses the height of mercury column to reflect the blood pressure. Readings are measured in millimeters of mercury, which is denoted as mmHg, and are provided as a pair of numbers. For each heartbeat, blood pressure varies between systolic and diastolic pressure. Let's first start with diastolic. Diastolic is the minimum pressure, which is also the bottom number of the two numbers, measures the pressure in the arteries, which occurs near the beginning of the cardiac cycle. It means when the ventricles are filled with blood. Another is systolic. Systolic is the higher pressure in the arteries, which is seen as the upper number of the two numbers. Measures the pressure in the arteries near the end of the cardiac cycle, when the ventricles are contracting. For example, in resting healthy adult human, normal measured value is 120 by 80 mmHg and also spoken as 120/80. In this, the higher figure is the systolic while the lower figure is the diastolic value. Blood pressure measurements can be done by two protocols, direct and indirect methods. So, the direct or also called as the invasive method is the standard criterion and consists of using an intravascular catheter to obtain a measurement by placing a catheter needle in an arterial line. However, this protocol is not suitable for practical view due to its invasive nature. As a result, the non-invasive or indirect method is gold standard method. The indirect method involves collapsing the artery with an external cuff, providing a low priced, quicker and straightforward protocol to find blood pressure. The indirect method can be performed using a sphygmomanometer or with an automatic oscillometric machine. There are various factors that influence blood pressure such as diet, drugs, alcohol, exercise, disease, stress, obesity or heavy weight, volume of fluid and also physical factors like resistance, thickness of fluid, etc. High blood pressure. High blood pressure is a serious medical condition across all countries around the world. High blood pressure is a serious cardiovascular disease that is very hard to face and control. This condition leads many of us to abnormally high blood pressure that drags to various serious problems such as heart disease, coronary disease, strokes and even kidney failure too. As opposed to hypotension, this being abnormally low blood pressure. Causes of high blood pressure. Several factors and conditions may play a critical role in high blood pressure development, including drinking alcohol, smoking, lack of exercise, higher age, obesity, high salt diet, stress, genetics like positive history regarding blood pressure, chronic kidney disease and many more. Medications for high blood pressure. Nowadays, a wide ranges of high blood pressure medications available. Most of these are grouped under 4 main types. Includes angiotensin receptor blockers, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, that is ACE inhibitor, thiazide diuretics, calcium channel blockers. There are other types of medication also available from pharma, but these 4 types of drugs are most commonly used. Now you all must be familiar with blood pressure. Let us discuss how this pressure is regulated. The regulation of blood pressure is a complex cascade involving various biological as well as physical mechanisms. A synchronization of various receptors is essential to carry out its messages to various organs and systems that are involved in the maintenance of blood pressure or blood volume. There are several mechanisms which regulates blood pressure. This includes baroreceptor reflex, aldosterone, renin-angiotensin system. First we will see baroreceptor reflex. Baroreceptors, also known as presoreceptors, are a type of mechanoreceptor located in the high and low pressure zones. They are excited by a stretch of the blood vessel. This baroreceptor send signals ultimately to the medulla of the brainstem. The medulla, by way of the central and peripheral sympathetic nerves, adjusts the mean arterial pressure by altering both the force as well as speed of the heart contraction, that in turn influence the cardiac output, and vascular smooth muscle to influence total peripheral resistance. Baroreceptors act immediately as a part of a negative feedback system termed as baroreflex. The most important input for baroreceptor reflex comes from peripheral receptors that are located in the carotid and aortic bodies. As seen in the figure, carotid bodies, which are oval nodules in the wall of the left and right common carotid arteries, and the aortic bodies located in the wall of the arc of the aorta. Baroreceptors. Baroreceptors can be divided into 2 categories based on the type of blood vessels in which they are: high pressure baroreceptor and low pressure baroreceptors. Let us go with high pressure baroreceptors. The baroreceptors send signals ultimately to the medulla of the brainstem, specifically to the rostral ventrolateral medulla, that is abbreviated as RVLM. Next is low pressure baroreceptors. These baroreceptor zones are mainly in the vena cava, pulmonary veins and in the atria. The changes with these receptors results in feedback regulating and secretion of antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin, renin and aldosterone. As per medication view, the baroreceptor reflex is not potential target in control of high blood pressure, because if it is blocked, individual may suffer from orthostatic hypotension. Second mechanism involves aldosterone. As we all know, aldosterone is a corticosteroid hormone produced by adrenal gland from the outer section, that is zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex. It plays a central role in controlling blood pressure as well as the balance of fluids and electrolytes in the blood. Aldosterone, a type of mineralocorticoids, has a tendency to increased blood volume followed by increase in blood pressure, which is sensed by baroreceptors. To maintain a normal homeostasis, these receptors also sense low blood pressure, causing aldosterone to be released, and this results in sodium as well as water retention in the kidney. Since sodium is the main ion that determines the amount of fluid in the blood vessels by osmosis, aldosterone will increase fluid custody and indirectly arterial pressure. So, coming to the third mechanism, which involves renin-angiotensin system. The renin-angiotensin system, which abbreviated as RAS or RAS and also known as renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, is a hormone cascade and a part of an extremely powerful feedback system for long term control of blood pressure as well as fluid or water balance. In various tissues like kidneys, adrenal glands, the heart, vasculature and nerve system have been found local renin-angiotensin system. Renin-angiotensin system permits the kidney to compensate for loss in blood volume in arterial pressure by activating an endogenous vasoconstrictor known as angiotensin II. This system also have a variety of roles, including local cardiovascular regulation in association or independently of the systematic renin-angiotensin system. All these above factors are well thought out with each other directly or indirectly. So, for maintain body homeostasis by adequate blood pressure must be continuously present and it must be monitored, adjusted and precisely regulated. As a result, blood is properly voyaged to every organ of the body and waste products must not be permitted to mount up. Now we come to one more important part of this talk, that is capillary pressure. The smallest blood vessels are capillaries, which combine arterioles and veins. They are less than 1 mm long and so small. The total length of capillary in one person is over 50 kilometers. Vasodilation and vasoconstriction are dilation and constriction of blood vessels which are controlled by neural and endocrine regulators. Sphincter muscles. Sphincter muscles control the flow of blood to the capillaries. Capillary blood pressure is higher in the arteries, but it reduces in capillary as blood flows. It is lowest in veins. The exchange of substances like gases, nutrients, waste products occur through capillary between blood and interstitial fluid by simple diffusion. Capillary walls contain small pores that allow certain substances to pass into and out of the blood vessel. Fluid exchange is controlled by blood pressure within the capillary vessel through hydrostatic as well as osmotic pressure of the blood. The osmotic pressure is produced by high concentration of salts and plasma proteins in the blood. The capillary wall allows water as well as small solutes to pass between its pores, but does not allow proteins to pass through. At the arterial end of the capillaries, capillary pressure forces fluid out and into the surrounding tissues. As the blood moves through the capillary, the blood pressure decreases. So that near the venule end, less leaks into the surrounding tissue as blood flows through the capillary and fluid moves out. The blood that remains behind becomes concentrated. The osmotic pressure in the capillary increases near the venule end, results in an increase in the amount of fluid moving into the capillary. The arrows show the movement of blood into and out of the capillary. Long and thick arrows represents amount of the fluid movements. The total amount of movement out in the capillaries is equal to the amount of movement into it. This means that more blood leaves the capillary near the artery end and more enters near the venous end. So, capillary pressure. Capillary pressure is the different pressure that exists across two immiscible phases like blood and interstitial fluid between membranes which act as a selective permeable membrane. It is controlled by the various factors such as flow, resistance, viscosity, blood components, etc. Capillary pressure is measured by various methods like direct cannulation and others. Let us summarize. In this lecture, we have studied significance, maintenance and control of the peripheral circulation, blood pressure as well as capillary pressure, which are very complex and multifactorial processes. We have listed a key mechanisms like baroreceptor reflex, aldosterone, renin-angiotensin system that maintain blood pressure as well as briefly mention their role in deal with blood pressure. We have also studied methods for measurement of blood pressure and capillary pressure. In sum, we can say that maintain and control of these processes can be modified by various conditions and that have direct effect on body homeostasis. The main aim of these processes is to maintain appropriate homeostasis to the body and facilitate proper environment for various physiological cascades. Thank you.